Some of you, oh yeah, great. As some of you already know, I graduated from UFAS, French Azerbaijan University, as a geophysical engineer in 2020. Later on, I recently graduated from my IFP school in Paris as a Master of Petroleum Geosciences. I've had my both internships, one related to my bachelor in Sokar Fugro in Baku, and the second one, I had my internship at Total Energies in Paris. I have done quite a lot of things in my life, including sports, arts, and etc. But I'm still trying to be an engineer. And some fun facts: I like food, having fun, love nature, discovering new cultures, read about history, and many more. We can talk about it later. Okay, so first we start about the study abroad and recommendations. This presentation, it doesn't matter if about study abroad or life in France, it's based purely on my own experience, and it's not something kind of official. So I would like you to have fun and enjoy the presentation, and also I try to make it as much interesting as possible. So for the study abroad, there are some things to remember. And from my experience, without knowing these points, it's going to be quite difficult. So let's start with the first one, which is the motivation. So it may sound a little bit ordinary, but in my opinion, if you don't have the motivation, it's not going to be easy for you to be successful in the application process, or even later if you successfully manage to get a scholarship or etc. If you don't have motivation, it's going to be difficult. And you may ask yourself, how do I find it? How to understand? You can ask yourself some couple of questions. Like, for example, why do I want to study abroad? Maybe it's because I really like France. I am obsessed with the culture of some country. I want to get that experience of being in an international environment, or etc. Or maybe you can ask yourself, what are the goals that I want to achieve? For example, I want to own my own company in Europe. I want to have a couple of years of work experience in Europe, and etc. And also what matters a lot is how crazy are you about this experience? How hard are you ready to fight for this experience? Because that matters a lot. If you put a goal in front of you, like, doesn't matter what it takes, I'm going to do it, it will be much easier for you. The second one is the GPI, so your average grade on the universities. Well, from what I remember, the average grade that is required should be somewhere above 65 or even 70. I'm talking about the average grade because some universities require even 90, 95, or some accept even 55. But in general, I really advise you to keep it high, because actually later on during life is not that important. The GPI is very important when you apply for something. And in Azerbaijan, you will agree that it is not that difficult to keep it high, guys. So it's another point. The third one is the motivation letter, or the cover letter, how do you call it? That matters a lot, and it's coming back to our first point, the motivation itself. And it's very obvious from the name that if you don't have this motivation, you won't be able to write the letter. So that people are going and paying to different companies to write the motivation letter for them, which is absolutely non-logical for me. And I can give you some advices, again, how to write it, because I know that for many people it's quite difficult and a lot of people are struggling with that. But there is no secret, and the most useful tool that you can use for that is Google, because you can find any information that you need. And you can start asking different questions yourself and looking for that in Google that will be helpful for you to write the letter. For example, let's say you chose a university, let's say about IFP, and you don't really know why do you want to go study there. Of course, you heard that, yeah, it's in top ranking and etc. But on the motivation letter, you should show something else than everyone can write. So you go on Google and you look for the benefits of this university. look for some specific points about the university that matters. For example, 5 years ago, it was chosen as the best university in, I don't know, communication between different universities and blah, blah, blah. So you can always find, there is not a single university, it's based on my own experience, that there is no specific and interesting fact. Some of them, they have biggest library in the country, biggest cafeteria, and etc. Like simple facts, but it makes it, how to say, more colorful, and they see that you really searched for information about this university. And the same goes to the country. Why you want to study in France? Like since my childhood, I was watching French movies. I started to learn French and etc. And also, please take time to write it, because I know many people who sat down and wanted to write it in one try, and it's simply not possible. Of course, possible, but you won't have the good result after that, because you need to take time. If you write first paragraph, you take time, you rest, and then go. Okay, the languages and the certificates such as IELTS, TOEFL, DELF, and etc. Again, until I came here, I was not even really clearly, let's say, able to speak English, but I understood that it's all a matter of practice, and same goes to French, and specifically, for example, the IELTS result. I prepared for it around 2 months, and what I understood is really a matter of practice. If you just take time to do the listenings, to do the readings, even if you don't really see the progress yourself, you will see how the results are going up. And don't be afraid of making mistakes in any language, and also for different universities. So I'm sure there is someone who is not studying at UFAS, but for UFAS students, for example, me, I was not obliged to bring IELTS test because I did my bachelor in English. So you can use this also. And also, if you don't have the IELTS result before the deadline, you can just contact people and say them that please find like all the documents that you asked, but about IELTS, I will upload it in 1 month. And it's all right, it works. The fifth thing is timing. You know that for some universities, there are some stages of application, like early stage, middle stage, and etc. So try to not leave it until the last stage, because they also check and see that if they are motivated, if you are motivated, if you really want to study there, you won't miss the opportunity of applying in the first place. Because how do you know? Maybe from the first 50 guys who applied, 15 are already accepted and the second stage won't exist. So keep that in mind. And the last one is being socially active. What I mean is trying to find some guys who studied at the same university or same country at least, to get information, to ask your questions, and that will help you to, let's say, raise your motivation. And for that, you can use either LinkedIn or some volunteering events and etc. For example, me, I did volunteering in the UEFA. I guess it was final match in Baku, and I found many guys from Europe. So I was always in contact, asking how is life there and etc. Or from LinkedIn, you go, you type the name of the university, and you find some students either from the Azerbaijan, for example, like me, or you find some international students to talk about the university, how is the education there, how is life, and etc. And here you will find some useful links where you can look for the scholarship opportunities. Well, it's just first 3 or 4 links from Google that I found, but I'm sure there are much more. And also there is a link in this group in Facebook, most probably you heard about it, where I described my application process in details in Azerbaijani language. So that will be also useful to have a look. And guys, later on, I will share the presentation so that you have all the links. No worries. Okay, now let's start about the opportunities in France. Let's say you decided that you're gonna study here. How to find a scholarship? There are three types of scholarships in general, what I understood. The first one is the general scholarships that exist for all the international students in general, for almost all the universities. It's mostly about the scholarships provided by the country itself and how to find one. So for that, you go to Campus France, which is the educational ministry of France, where you can have all the information related to studies that you look for. And you go for the scholarship section, bourse, and you can use your nationality, and then you will see how many programs are there available. For example, such as a Flexen scholarship, governmental scholarship, and etc. The second one is the category of the scholarships that are provided by universities themselves. And I'm sure more than 90% of universities, they have scholarships internally. And how do you find one? So you go to the website of the university. Yeah, there is someone with the mic on, so I kindly ask to mute if it's possible. Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, you go to the website of the university and you go to either financial support tab, or it will be named as scholarships, financial aid, or international master scholarships. And you look for the information that they have, because for many of them it exists. For example, especially for this faculty of Geosciences, there are 5 scholarships provided by university. And you can find information how to apply, what are the requirements, and etc. And then if you didn't find this tab on the website, you go to contact us tab, because you will always find an email on the website, and you just write a letter. Hello, my name is X, and I am a student from Azerbaijan, and I would like to continue my education at your university, but I didn't find any information about the financial support. So could you please give me information how I can finance my studies and etc. And believe me, they're gonna be very happy to help you, because they see how you are motivated, guys, so that you are asking and etc. And they will really try to help. And the third type is the scholarships that are provided by companies, energy companies, or different companies, or specifically government for the nationals of Azerbaijan. For example, such as Total Energies, and thanks to them, more than 50 students from Azerbaijan came to study in France since 2004 in universities such as IFP, ENSG, UPA, and etc. And also the Campus France, which is the educational department of France, they have the branch in Azerbaijan, and they are located quite close to our university, because it's the French Institute, most probably you have seen, and you can see what are the scholarships available for Azerbaijani students. You can even see that they recently posted something on Facebook, so you can go and check. All right, I think that's it about the scholarships. Right, now let's talk about the universities. Well, I created one simple list of some universities that I heard about and that some of my friends are studying. But of course, this list can be very, very big, because there are many universities in France, and you can really find all information about them on Google. But still, because in geosciences, there are not that much, at least if you want to study in English. So one of them is the IFP, then there is one university in Lyon. Also, I forgot where was this university, but also they have some opportunities for geoscientists. University of Montpellier, there are faculties of geology. If you want to go with economics, commerce, there are some schools in Paris, in Nantes. Also, if you want to continue as a process engineer, process and polymers, and etc., they exist in many universities, but the best ones are the Institut Polytechnique or Université Paris-Saclay, but there are many more, so you can always find more information. It's just a brief list, so that you have an information about. Okay, let's say that everything was good and you got accepted to the university, and now you have time to realize some stuff before coming to France. And this is purely based on my own experience, so it's kind of fun. The language. You should know something more than the oui oui baguette, which is French cliche. And I'm saying it because even though the France and especially Paris is quite international city, believe me, there are very few people who speak English, and especially French themselves, and specifically the ones that are living in Paris. They are very famous with this fact that they don't like someone speaking another language than French. So that will be really useful. And how to improve that? Well, for the guys from French Azerbaijan University, guys, take the opportunity of having French classes. No one told me that, and I didn't really follow it, but it's really useful. And but even though you are not studying there or you didn't follow the courses, there are some very nice applications, some podcasts, some websites that can be useful, and I'm using them myself. And you can find all the information starting from the elementary level until the advanced one. Uh, the second one is to get used to things that will be taking time and get more patient, because in France, everything is taking more time, especially the administrative procedures. I will just say in my case, for example, I applied for a bank account and I received my bank card in 3 months. And they still use letters, documents as in hard copy, and you send them by post. So it always takes time. You go to the post, you send it. It should be like in 2 weeks. They receive it, they proceed, and etc. Even for my visa application, it took almost 1 year to for them to review it. So get more passionate about this kind of stuff. Um the third one is about cooking. It may sound funny, but you guys be sure that it's not possible to live only with spaghetti and sausages. And I really advise you to take this opportunity of being close to your family, to your mom, or at least in your own apartment where you have all the capabilities to learn how to cook some different food. And it will be also a great opportunity for you here to introduce to the international students our cuisine, and they were really happy when they see Azerbaijani food. So learn how to cook it and make us proud. Uh, I'm sorry. So solitude. Learn how to spend time with yourself, which is really really important, because for us it was even more difficult because we came and COVID was, I don't remember, second or third wave. So we were stuck in the residence for almost all the day because we had the lectures during the day, and then evening there was lockdown. So we were not able to go outside, and first couple of weeks, months, they were quite difficult to stay alone and enjoy this time, because when we are living close to our family or friends, it's we don't really spend time alone. We always go, I don't know, watch something with family, talk about something, go outside. And then when you realize that you are alone here and there is no one surrounding you, that is whom you can really enjoy time, it's going to be difficult. So I really advise you to learn it. And some advice how you can improve this ability. You can spend time for your hobbies, come back to some old ones or find something new, because it's always interesting. You can put some, let's say, goals that you want to achieve. For example, I would love to get the certificate about time management in 1 month. Excuse me, guys. So yeah, like, I mean, put some goals and try to work on them. You can learn something new. There are a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of useful information on the internet that you can really like sit down and you will not even understand how the time was going. It's really useful. Or just simply do nothing. having rest, doing nothing is also very important. But this is one of the most important points I want you guys to remember, so that you will learn how to spend time with yourself before going abroad. Okay, now let's say that you are very successful, hopefully, and everything worked out. So you arrived in France. And now we're gonna talk about the things how to make your life in France the best one. First of all, as I said, many things are taking time. So as soon as you arrive, you need to start the administrative procedures. And in France, there are many benefits, especially for students, such as social security, such as housing allowance, and etc. You can see these are it is related to health. This one is to the housing, but the application is taking quite a lot of time. So I really propose you to start it as soon as you arrive, and also same is the visa stuff. You need to validate it, and then you need to apply for the renewal and etc. Keep this in mind. Well, I said that language is quite important, and if you didn't manage to learn it, at least on around pre-elementary or elementary level, and you know only English, how things work here, I understood it quite after quite long time. If you ask them if they speak English, I learned this sentence in French quite clearly, and they were always shocked, like how I'm saying this sentence as a French person, but I don't speak French. So, and if you ask them if they speak English, they will think about it. I mean, if you don't know, you will just directly say no. So they think about it, and then they like, no. But if you directly approach them and ask your question in English, so that they see that you have no idea about French. Keep this in mind, it's very important. And you can use it in supermarkets, in the documentation stuff, everywhere. I'm not sure that you will always have someone responding you back in English, but still, this is a good technique to use. Find communities, students, people to connect. Well, French people, especially the ones that did not go for study abroad and etc., that are staying here, they are quite, how to say, closed, and it's very difficult to get in a relationship, to be friends with French people. So that's why, in order to be not to feel alone when you arrive, you will always find some communities of, for example, English speakers, Russian speakers, and depending on your city, there are some groups on Facebook, I don't know, Telegram, everywhere that you can type the name of the city, and then you will find some groups where you have international students. And there are some of the examples. For example, to be Erasmus in Paris, they organize some parties, some trips on the weekends, and etc. And there are people from all over the world, so it will be really useful. As I said, it's also about like being socially active, so that you get connections, you get to know more people, and etc. When you get accepted to university, try to be a member of, for example, Bureau des Élèves. It's like our Talebe Gençler Teşkilatı, or SPE or EAG, or some language clubs, some volunteering clubs, some sports clubs, and etc. And it's quite a fun, and you will always find different students from different faculties of your university, and your network will grow. So that's really important. Of course, you are coming to France, and you should know that in France there are more than, if I'm not mistaken, so there are more than 1,200 museums in France, and you will find at least one or two in each city. I'm even not talking about Paris. During a year and a half, I was going to different museums almost each weekend, and I never stopped finding new museums. So it's really interesting. And of course, there is one really useful point, that museums, almost like 95% of museums are free for everyone under the age of 26, if you are resident of Europe, and also if you're a student. So take this opportunity and try to enjoy this. About wineries, you know that French people are really famous with their wine, and there are a lot of particulars, like just random people who have their little garden, and they are making some wine, and you can always find information on web how to go there and see how the process is going on and get this experience. You can even contact some people, find some people where they look for volunteers to help them to collect the grapes for the wine. For example, this picture, I took it myself. It was the September of last year. And one of my friends advised me to go there. It's like you voluntarily help to collect the grapes for the weekend. And in exchange, they give you a place to sleep and they feed you. And it's really interesting because you see a lot of people, like you see natural, like French citizens, and you discuss the life with them. It's quite interesting. And of course, like I'm just mentioning the most important ones, but you can go to this website, for example, and you just type the name of the city and you will find a big list of things to do. If you want to enjoy life, if you want to find something interesting where you can spend your time. And it's just one example, but of course, again, it all comes back to Google. You just type the name of the city and then it will work. Okay, the next is about the organizing trips for weekends or even day trips. Because guys, in Europe, I was really impressed how it is easy to travel inside Europe by trains, by car, by bus, and even by flight. It takes, I don't know, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you can travel from all the cities in France because they all have train stations, and the SNCF is their like train governmental, say, train agency, the biggest one, and they have trains everywhere. You can get some students discounts, and it's very easy to reach any cities, especially from Paris, where they have 5 or 6 big vokzal. I forgot the word in English. Sorry, train stations. Yeah, and so it's really easy. And take this opportunity of traveling, because if you really focus on your studies only for the weekends too, you will get bored. And try to manage your schedule, manage your time in a way that you always have the possibility to travel. Even at IFP, I was studying, and the schedule was quite tough, and it was almost something similar to the one that we have at UFAS. And you study from 9 to 4 or 5 in the evening, but still we were managing somehow, finding time to travel. And it's you can use all the agencies that are mentioned here to find the discounts and the easy ways to transport or to travel. And of course, try the French food, cheese, wine. I'm not sure, but I think they have the biggest variety of cheese in the world. And same goes for wine, I guess. What will be difficult for you to get used to is that their food is not such oily, junky as our bozbash or different food, because we really like putting a lot of oil and meat in our food. So, and they don't put a lot of salt, spices. So for the first 1 or 2 months, it will be difficult, but then you will get used to very healthy food of French people because they use a lot of veggies. I really advise you to try, but don't forget to ask for well-cooked meat, because French people, I'm not sure, let me change you guys see my pointer, and French people, most of them, they eat meat like in this first way, where it's almost raw. And some of them may reach this level, but they never go below this. And when we ask in the restaurant or in cafeteria for something like this, they are really shocked. But by time you get used to it. So keep this in mind, that they never eat meat in this way, because these people are even eating raw meat. This meal here, it's called tartare, and it's French food. I'm not sure if it's actually French or not, but it's really just raw meat mixed with some veggies, and they are eating it. So keep this in mind, and maybe you can try, actually, it's tasty too. Some fun facts is that our kebab, our beautiful kebab. They call it cutlet, so that you don't get mixed, I'd say. And the next point, which is very interesting, is that our doner is their kebab. Yeah, I was quite like culturally shocked about it, and their kebab is not at all like our doner. But still, keep these points also in mind. Well, I think that should be it about the points that I wanted to talk. Yeah, of course, just a couple of points that I want you to keep in mind, guys, because like all this presentation, yeah, it's interesting, but maybe some of you are not planning to even go to study abroad or not planning to go to France, especially. But these points are general that I want you all to remember. Doesn't matter if it's your study life or career life. You should always have in mind your motivation. What are your goals? What is your purpose? What do you want to achieve in this life? And you have clearly you have an ambition to follow. If you always have this in mind, it will be very easy for you to achieve your goals, be successful, and enjoy the life that you have. Try to be open-minded, be flexible, be adaptable. Why I'm saying that? Because when you come to different country where you are surrounded by a lot of international people and whose culture are a lot different than yours, and if you are not ready to accept this fact, if you are not ready to get involved in this environment, it will be very difficult for you, because I'm saying it again based on my own experience. Because, for example, there was even a guy from Azerbaijan who was really, how to say, unsocial, and he was stuck in his own room for this almost all duration of studies. He never talked to anyone, and everyone was talking, not bad, but everyone was asking what's wrong with him. So it was quite difficult for him. I tried to help, we tried to help, but if you don't have this in your own mind, if you didn't decide that, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this environment, I'm going to take the most of it, it will be difficult. And also remember that you will never be the same age. So don't let anyone to take decisions about your life or your career, your studies. Of course, you can get some advice. It's always good to ask things from the people who have more experience, who have more experience just about age, who are older. But it doesn't mean that someone have 10 years of experience. He said me to do something, I have to follow that. Of course, you can have the advice, but still try to have your own opinion and make your own decisions. Even though if you are the only one who wants to do it and everyone is against you, you should really keep going, guys. So by the time you will understand that how useful it is. Well, I guess that should be it. And now I didn't keep the presentation long because I want guys to talk with you, because I know like everyone can have some specific questions in their mind. So let's ask your questions if something interesting for you, like some specific questions, and I will be really happy to answer your questions. I think I will stop sharing the screen so that we can see each other.
Actually have questions in our chat box.
Okay, yeah, I just saw it. Let me read it. Yeah, and if you have questions, please turn on your mic and camera. You can ask it. It will be easier. I'm not a like professor or something. I'm almost same age as you, and I would love to talk with you. Okay, I have such a question. Maybe or vice versa. Okay, let me answer the questions one by one. It depends. For example, you are asking if you got accepted to university and then you apply for scholarship, or it's the opposite. Well, it depends. There are some universities that you need to get accepted to the faculty first, and then you can apply for the scholarship of the university itself, for example, or it's like the process that's going at the same time. Like you apply for the scholarship and you apply for the university at the same time, and actually they are connected. and one of them is talking to another, like if they are happy with the student, if they are happy with your results, so that we can accept him and give him a scholarship at the same time. It depends again. For example, the governmental scholarships, such as the Hungarian scholarship of Azerbaijan government or the scholarship of Total Energies, the process here is different. So first you apply for the scholarship, then you have it, and after then you know that you have the scholarship, you apply for the universities, and also you use this fact that you already have a scholarship to write it in your motivation letter, so that you let the university know that well, I am also motivated to study there because I have already the scholarship for this country, for this university. Well, it depends, as you understood, like it's always depending on the university. In this process between general scholarship, by saying process, I mean process of applying and getting a scholarship which are given or will be given to you. Right. Again, it's same about universities, both, and scholarships. The processes are always different. For example, there are such universities or even scholarships that they don't require any interview, any exam. It's just based on your previous achievements. They require your transcripts, your motivation letter, your diploma if you have it. I mean, the process is very simple. You just apply with a set of documents, and then in 1 month you have the result. If you got accepted to university or if you got the scholarship. For example, in my case, I received one partial scholarship to study in England that was only with application, like no interview, no exam, and etc. Or it can be different. Like some of them require interviews. For example, I had a university where I applied, and after the application process, I remember I had 3 or 4 interviews, and most of them are academical, where they try to ask you like simple questions. What is your motivation, and to get to know you, and there is no technical questions. Or some of them, depending on the faculty that you have applied, they can ask you some technical questions. For example, about geophysics, about geology, and etc. Or some of them you need to pass an online quick like kind of exam, where some of them they require maths, logic, or the situational judgment. Like it's depending. So it's different for all the universities and scholarships. You will always find the information on the website, because when you apply, I'm sorry, you can see the different steps. Like for example, the first stage is just simply sending the documents. Then there you will have an exam, blah blah blah. So it's always different. I think I applied. No, I answered your questions. But if something is not clear, please.
Yeah. One thing that I want to ask and clarify, where I can mainly clarify the. I mean, should I have on my hand my scholarship first, or should I have like some letter that I'm accepted at the university? I mean, I should write a mail to scholarship or to university that they want to have some information about my scholarships, or how can I understand if university if the letter of university that I am already accepted goes first, or scholarship? Just by letter messaging to universities and scholarships, or is any some points?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm not quite sure if I understood your question. Maybe if you want to ask in Azerbaijani or in Russian, like feel free, because I'm not really sure if I got your question. I didn't understand what's the point. Yeah.
Хорошо. Вы сказали до этого, что это сильно зависит от самой scholarship и от университета, то есть что идет первым, мое принятие в scholarship или принятие в университет. То есть как я могу понять, что университет уже хочет на момент принятия меня в университет, уже хочет знать, что у меня есть какая-то scholarship на руках или нет? Или же как я могу понять, что scholarship, которая, то есть, думает дать мне свое финансирование или не дать, хочет уже, то есть ей нужно знать, принята ли я куда-то.
Я отвечу на вопрос, тот, который я понял, но опять-таки, если будет не clear, let me know. Опять-таки, это зависит от университета и scholarship, на который ты подаешь. Если, например, это scholarship от университета и это специально для этого факультета, например, то этот процесс идет параллельно. То есть ты уже, когда подаешь документы, и ты в твоем letteре, в твоем application, они тебя спрашивают, у тебя есть financial aid? Как бы у тебя уже есть какой-то finance или как ты думаешь вообще финансировать свою education? И хочешь ли ты apply делать на scholarship, который мы provide, да, делаем? И ты тикаешь этот option, и этот процесс уже идет параллельно. То есть если ты будешь, если они тебя принят как студента, ты уже автоматически получишь scholarship тоже. Или же, например, в других случаях, как было. Опять-таки, здесь нету такого regulation, который очень, так скажем, да, его нельзя менять. Потому что все зависит от твоих negotiations. Ты можешь всегда поговорить с representatives of the faculty. Ты пишешь твой email и спрашиваешь, как бы, чтобы мне быть удачливой в этом application, мне нужно заранее иметь какой-то scholarship или как вообще? Как бы, если у тебя есть такой специфический вопрос, ты можешь спросить всегда, и они тебе ответят. А если нет, опять-таки, это зависит. Как бы, например, у меня то, что было, я получил scholarship тоталя, потом я подал документы, и это в IFP, и это мне помогло как бы быть в первом, как скажем, на топ-листе, потому что они знают, что у меня уже есть scholarship. Ну, например, у меня один другой друг, он подал документы в IFP, и параллельно он подал документы в другой scholarship, чтобы именно вот конкретно для IFP, например, Equinor, там, другие компании, они каждый год там по 10, по 5 студентов финансируют в IFP. И он потом подал на него. И, например, этот representative of the faculty, ты когда с ним общаешься, они могут тебе говорить, что нам так кажется, что мы тебя примем как студента, как бы твои результаты нас удовлетворяют, и все будет хорошо, но давай будем ждать ответа от scholarship. И они тебе дают время, как бы если ты получишь scholarship, то да, ты приходишь к нам. Если нет, ну так получилось, да, так скажем. То есть это всегда зависит.
А есть ли проблема для сколоршипа, то есть если я оплаюсь на несколько сколоршипов, которые не фуллы, а, допустим, одна 30%, одна 50%, для самих сколоршипов есть проблема в этом или для самого университета?
Нет, вообще, честно говоря, для университетов это не имеет значения, как бы если у тебя scholarship partial, это значит, что твои остальные деньги ты сама заплатишь. Как бы на университет это не влияет. Поэтому не думаю, что это какой-то будет проблемой. Но опять-таки, если у тебя всегда какие-то есть специфические вопросы, ты просто можешь найти контакты с LinkedIn, с веб-сайта самого, и просто пишешь и спрашиваешь свой вопрос, и они тебе ответят.
Хорошо, спасибо.
Не за что. Question from Nurai. Is there any other good choice of Francophone countries to study Master of France? Unis are best choice. Well, it's a difficult question because you can choose Belgium, where they speak French, most of people, and I'm sure you can find some universities that have degrees in French, or Canada, some part of Canada. Well, except on that, I'm not sure if there are some countries or not. But again, if you want to get exposed, especially to a French environment and to have this experience, I would advise to choose a university in France, and it will be easier actually to find a francophone, like to be in a francophone country and university, and you will have, I guess, the best experience, especially by being involved in the procedures in France. So you are in the middle of the nationals that speak French as their mother tongue, so it will be much easier. I'm not sure if this is the answer that you wanted to hear, but yeah, from my point of view, I would advise if you want to study, especially in a Francophone country, you choose France. Who study in other cities of France, which aspects are slightly or totally different from Paris? Oh, yeah, of course, I do have many friends all over France, and I have many of them in Strasbourg, in Nice, in Grenoble, in Nantes. Yes, it is not slightly, but there is a quite big difference between Paris and other cities. Well, first of all, Paris is really like megapolis, and it's a very big city. It's very crowded. It's very, how to say, steering. Like it's very active, and not everyone actually is happy by being here, by studying, especially in Paris. And also, another negative point is very expensive. I think it was the top like most expensive first or second city in the world. That's the negative point, but also there are like more positives, such as I said, you will have a lot of museums. Like you will never get bored in Paris. If you enjoy such a life of being in a big city, you will never get bored. And like all the facilities, you will find them much easier in Paris, rather than in other cities. But of course, it also depends on the size of the city. For example, Strasbourg is also quite a big city, and it's also a nice place, but it's much calmer environment than Paris. Or there are some cities such as like Po, or I don't know, like some little cities where it's very, very like calm. And if you enjoy like, I would say, vibrant city, it will be difficult for you to stay there. So that's why I advise you before like choosing the university itself, like have a look at the city, the campus too. For example, at IFP, we didn't have a quite big campus. And actually it's something kind of similar to FAS because there are only like around 500 or 600 students each year. And we don't have that big campus. But still, I mean, if you got your surrounding, you can enjoy time. But for example, my friends who study the Institut Polytechnique of Paris. They have a huge campus of, I don't know, like 5 or 10 buildings. It's like kind of student city, a little bit away from Paris. And the life there is completely different. I know, in terms of events, sports, parties, and everything. It depends on you, but I mean, it matters. But I wouldn't say that it's a priority when you choose a university. Even though, I mean, the campus of IFP was not great, but I was very happy to be here. If you are not satisfied with the answer, let me know. When you apply to university, can volunteering experience be considered as job? I'm not sure if it can be considered as job though, but it's very important because if they see that you were involved in the procedures of like being a socially active and you had a lot of conversations with different nationalities, they really, how to say, it's a positive thing to have in your CV. For example, I participated in a couple of international summer or winter schools where we were like people from more than 50 countries. I met some friends from Madagascar. So it's really a positive thing. And then you have, at least you have an idea of different culture so that you don't get shocked. You get what I mean? I mean, anyway, like if you guys have any opportunity of being a volunteer, it doesn't matter if something like an internal event, external event, abroad in different city, always try to have it. Like it's really useful, even if you are not getting paid or something, it will help you to build your social life. What may be different from other cities? What would you say about job opportunities and internships? Well, yeah, it's a good question because actually, especially in geosciences, right now it's quite difficult about job opportunities. As you know, we are facing big energy transition, green energy, and etc. So the companies are trying to avoid the oil and gas industry, but it doesn't mean that there are no jobs. And internships, I would say it's easy to find. It's not that difficult. Of course, it depends on your university and on your field. For example, students from IFP, there was almost no case that anyone struggled, didn't find an internship. For a couple of students, maybe it's difficult, but it's logical because their transcript, their grades are not so good, for example. But everyone, in the end, everyone finds an internship. But about job opportunities, it's a little bit difficult because right now, for example, even me, myself, I'm just waiting for a response from many companies. And in Europe, it may be a little bit difficult for us, for Azerbaijanis, especially because we don't have European citizenship, and getting work permit, residence permit, to be eligible to work officially more than 20 hours a week. It's quite difficult. There's an opportunity after you apply, after you finish your studies, you can apply for a visa which is called APS, which gives you a right of staying in Europe, in France, for 1 year without doing anything. And during this time, you can stay here and work, or if you got a job, you can work, you can look for a job. But eventually, I think it will come, because if you are having this experience of studying in France, the universities are quite highly ranked, and you will it depends on you. It doesn't mean that as soon as you finish your university, some company will call you and come, we have an offer for you, because it depends on the field. For example, if you are in the field of computer sciences, like data science, the artificial intelligence, etc., it will take less time to get a job than in geoscience. For us in geoscience, for example, what I have been told is, right now, after all the COVID crisis and this energy transition, it may take 6 months up to 1 year of getting a job. And even though you finish the AFP, you have best achievements, the grades are amazing, it may be a little bit difficult, but eventually everyone finds it. So I wouldn't say you should be worried about it from before, but about the cities, yeah, because there are some cities that if you want to stay, there is no company, there is no offer, etc. Because my friends, for example, after we finished our studies in AFP, some of them, they went to Grenoble, some of them, they went to Lyon, some went to Po. So it depends, and you'll always I think it's not a priority to find a place and then job. It should be the opposite. So keep this in mind. But don't be worried about it. Keep applying, because it takes time, and you should be really resistant. You should really keep fighting, because you won't get accepted from the first application. Is French required for the internships? Well, no, but it depends on the company. It's a very broad question. For example, for me, it was not required, but it's always a plus if you speak French too, so that in your surrounding, you will find some French nationals, and they will like that you try to speak French. But in general, I would say during this time of being a student before internship in France, I would really advise you to take this opportunity of being surrounded by the French people and learn French, because if afterwards you want to get a job, it will be much easier for you, because there are more and more opportunities for people who speak English and French than for people who speak only English. But later on, it depends on the company. For example, for Total, for the internships, no, they don't require French. Because it's officially accepted that they speak English inside the company. But from my personal experience, there were some teams that were talking only French, and actually maybe they didn't need to talk English because they all knew French. But still, it's a plus. If you know it, it's a plus. Does it seem easy, or at least not that difficult, to stay there after master, either for working and building a career or just for PhD? Okay, it's a nice question. but it all depends on you, because I mean, it comes back to the point of being resistant, because I had a friend who applied for jobs and all the responses were negative. So that after the internship, he didn't even wait for a month. He like directly left the country because like he said, no, I can't take it. But like me as a personal, like my personal experience, I finished it's already like a month and a half, and I'm still staying here and I'm still applying. I'm still taking some French courses. I'm still trying to like get something. But I mean, building a career can be a little bit more difficult than just for PhD, because PhD, I mean, you have the topic, you have the university. It's kind of a job in Europe, so that if you apply for PhD, you get paid for like for the duration of the PhD. It can be 3 years, 4 years, quite a like decent amount of money for each month that allows you to live. And even if you have family, I'm talking like the salary is very high with PhD, but you should be motivated about PhD because it's a big decision, and you are giving almost like all your time to one specific topic. And God save, like if you don't like this topic, like after a year you will be so stressed about it. But I mean, it depends. It all depends. And about working, well, during the time that you are waiting for a response from the big companies, like in your specific field, you can still do some other job. Like you can teach English here, you can teach Russian here, you can find some part-time student jobs. Especially if you speak French, you can easily find some students jobs, like almost in all the cities. In Paris, it's really easy, but if it's like a little town or village, it may be a little bit difficult if you don't know French. But still, like the only point that may be difficult is about finance, because like by just staying here in Paris is very, very expensive. On your own, it's almost impossible. I mean, depends on the family, but other cities are all right. And if you really want to stay and take this opportunity, I guess like during a couple of months, it will be not that difficult to finance your like daily life. Your family can help, or you can get some like savings from your scholarship. So, I mean, if you have the resistance, if you want to stay, it's not that difficult. Yeah, you can always find some part-time jobs, so it's all right. You can do always online jobs. You can again teach English or Russian or French online. You can do babysitting. I don't know, like they have many interesting jobs for students, so it won't be that difficult if you have the motivation. Yeah, but I mean, you should have this in your head that I want to stay. Then it will be easy. If no, it's gonna be difficult. Uh, you're more than welcome. I'm happy that I could answer your question. Anything else? Any other question, guys? You can turn on the mic. Yeah, go on, Ilham. Go on.
I have a question about the
Lazım sana.
internship. For example, in motivation part, we say that in France it's okay to get internship many international and big companies. For example, from you get the internship from Total, but in our country it's not impossible, I can say, to get internship from Total or some big others company. It's only BP is open for the internship, but the other big 6 companies is not. For example, I Michelle or something like that is not share their opinions with students. But can I write in my motivation? I want to study in French because of to want to join the big companies. But I think in my motivation, I can criticize my countries.
Yeah, very good. Like, I mean, you answered the question yourself. You shouldn't criticize, you shouldn't talk negative in the motivation letter about any company, about any country or environment, because it's not it's not a good way, it's not the best approach to reach your like goal. But still, of course, you can mention this and you can say that I'm extremely motivated about being involved in an environment in such a big company as Shell, for example, where I will have the opportunity of being surrounded by international people. Because, for example, it's not that difficult it's not that easy in my country, since we are not on the same development level as France, for example. I mean, you need to, it's a, how to say, the grind. It's a soft line that you should not, how to say, pass the limit, but you can mention it, of course. You can, I'm sure you can find like positively approaching this point, and you can mention this in your motivation letter.
And
But you have a question. Yeah, go on.
Thank you. My second question is about the Lyon University. As you know, in Lyon University have a internal scholarship for international students, and I think the last year it was one students get scholarship from Lyon, the Lyon University scholarship.
Right.
I have a question about how the lessons quality in the Lyon University for geoscience. It's okay or?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, because I have no specific information about the quality of education in University of Lyon. I think I know the guy who is studying there. If you want, I can give you the contacts and you can ask him yourself. Or you go on LinkedIn, you type the name of the university, you find students, and you can choose even the, like, as a country, you can choose Azerbaijan, so that you will see the alumni of the school from Azerbaijan. This is, for example, what I did when I was planning to come to IFP. I contacted 5 or 10 people from IFP who were Azerbaijanis to ask my questions, because I know, like, it's always good to ask from your own nationality, like, to understand how was the environment and etc. So yeah, I contacted many Azerbaijanis, and all of them like helped me. All of them gave ideas, and many questions were much clearer for me after I contacted. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about. Try to be socially active and try to find people from Facebook, from different like social media. You just type, like, I mean, in our like modern days, it's very easy to find someone studying in that university. You just type the name and you ask your questions. Because, like, I mean, I didn't study there, so I don't want to lie, but I'm sure the quality of education should be quite nice.
I mean, for example, I have two chances to study abroad. One of them Lyon and one of them other country, could be or Norway, something like that. And I want to make a quick decision which university is more quality. And yes, I will do which you say me. Yes, thank you.
Well, you reminded me about something else, which is very important. In general, during your application process, you may, of course, have some universities that are your favorite ones. For example, like you choose the IFP in the first place, but just simply because of the fact that you are not sure if you will get accepted or not, I always like suggest to apply for many universities or many programs in all the countries, in all this, like, with scholarship, without scholarship, like sorry, so that you have at least something in your hands. Because after you have the results that you were accepted to here, you were accepted. Me, for example, I was accepted to 11 universities and I got 3 scholarships. I don't even remember the number of like to how many universities I have applied. You do it and then you choose, because like it's something kind of, Azerbaijani, the Tegedeka system. We have our grade. This is what I remember. Then we write in the first at least 3 places the faculties that we want to study, but we are not sure if we will get accepted or not. That's why you have 15 places to choose universities in our like education process, so that you write. Me, for example, in UFAS, I chose first computer science, but the geophysical was on 3rd place. So my grade was appropriate for only geoscience, and I got accepted. But it doesn't mean that I didn't like it. But still, I mean, I always suggest you to have in hand some good results and choose after, than before choosing and like, should I apply or not? Especially most of them are free. You will find some universities that application is not free. I mean, you need to pay a fee of 50 euros or 100 euros or something, but still it's worth it. So like always apply to more universities, then you want to get accepted. Of course, in the end, you will choose only one, but like have this in mind.
And one more question. Does the IFP school require some GPA, limited GPA for applying?
I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I remember well or not. But yeah, they have a look at your transcript. I mean, you don't like you should not have many kasir, many Fs, many C, but there is not a like strict requirement. We don't accept anyone who is below 90. No, but I mean, that's why I said like try to keep your grades on average at least, not on minimum. But there was no limit. You can check. You can check on the website, or if you don't find it, let me know. I can ask my coordinator from the school so that like I know. You can come back to me from the.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Ilham. Do you use the same motivational letter for majority of applications? Maybe to. Yeah, exactly. Maybe you just. I mean, in all the motivation letters, there is a part that is related to university. That is like your purpose. The first part where you mention to which university and to which program that you are applying, and briefly you say that why I'm like applying there. So this part is different for all the applications because each time you are finding a different university, different facts about this university, different points why you choose this university or country. And then in the middle, the main body is about yourself, is about your studies, is about your motivation in general of studying in a different country. So it's most of the time it was the first part or the last little part that was getting adjusted. But in the middle to like, I mean, if you're applying to a university in France and then to something in Italy, I think it will be nice to have a like one or two sentence in the main body, how and since when and in a which way your motivation was arised towards studying in France or in Italy. So yeah, I mean, but the main part, like 60%, 70% of letter is same for all of them, and then you adjust little by little the parts where you apply. Don't forget to change the name of university or company when you apply. Like this adjustment is quite important.
I have one question. I know that it's not your field of study, but do you have any information about people who applied on logistics in France? Maybe you have some friends or something.
Wow. I'm really sorry, but I have no information about it at all. I was expecting something else like computer science or something, but logistics, no. But I'm sure you can get information like from web. Maybe if you don't find, let me know. I can like help with that. Like you can look for the information in some groups, or you can just ask your question in some groups. Well, like unfortunately, no, I don't have like specific information, but I may help later on. If you wanna find information, contact me and I will help you to get information about it.
Thank you. And one more question. Do you paid any fees for applying? You said that you have applied on 11 universities, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And did they require any fees for applying? Because I've listened that from one of my friends that in America, they require some fees for about maybe $50 for applying. Just for send an application, you have to pay.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I mentioned. Some universities, they require fees. So for the university that I applied in Canada or in US, big percentage of universities in States or in Canada, they have a like application fee. It's just for apply, as you said, like you just send your documents and you apply and you pay a fee of around like 80 dollars. But in Europe, it's less. I mean, most of the universities, they don't require. For example, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Institute Polytechnique of Paris that asked for 60 euros. And then there was a university in England that asked for 80 euros, something like this. But like in Europe, it's not that usual. Like you won't see it a lot. It's more like a US thing. It's more American stuff than in Europe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more question.
Yeah, go
Like,
on.
in case if I couldn't get any experience in the summer, professional experience, I mean, how much this really matters, the professional experience for bachelor degree during application to the university and to the scholarship?
What do you mean by by professional experience, like internship, or
Internships. Yes, internship.
you mean it's possible to finish your bachelor without internship?
Actually, no, but I mean additional internship. Like in the university bachelor program, we have some internship.
Yeah.
But when application starts, I actually couldn't get this practice. Like
Okay.
it's on the second semester of fourth year, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I start my application on the first semester, then I couldn't, like,
Yeah, no, I mean,
I don't know even
yeah, I got your question. But I mean, that's pretty usual because you are a student, you are just doing your bachelor, and it's very normal that you don't have any experience. And they know that in the first semester when you're applying, you didn't start your internship yet. And they also know that you cannot like get accepted to a master degree unless you finish your bachelor degree. And to finish it, you need to have internship. So they are pretty, like, I'd say, sure about it. They don't really, it doesn't really matter, no, like if you had internship or not. It may matter where did you have it and what was your job duties. I mean, what you were doing, if it was related to the master degree that you're applying or not. These are the things that can matter, but in general, like existence or non-existence of it is not a matter, like while applying.
and what really matters most for getting acceptance?
I will say there is not a single like exact requirement, but it's more a combination of all the things that I mentioned before. So it's your GPA, it's your average grade, or at least you're like you didn't fail a lot. And especially, for example, only mathematics, each semester it was lower than 10. Try to avoid such a thing. Then your motivation, which affects your letter, of course, because the motivation letter, like two motivation letters written to the same university, to the same faculty, they may like be, how to say, the last point, how to decide. So that you need to, how to say, like really put an energy, put an effort for writing your motivation letter. You need to spend time. That's what I meant. Be socially active. Soft skills matter a lot, and universities, especially the ones that are accepting international students, they don't want to have problems. They don't want to have like antisocial guys in their groups so that there will be a negative atmosphere in the group, you know? So that you, while the interview, like the academic interview and etc., you need to show them like how ambitious you are, how interested you are, and how flexible, like open-minded to different cultures, to different environment you are. It matters a lot. That's why I said like try to get in contact with international people, not only as like I mean someone not only from Azerbaijan. Try to surround yourself from people who had an experience of studying abroad, and it will be like quite useful. Uh, I guess yeah, that's it. I mean, there is not a single specific point that matters. It's a combination of all. Like you have a proper set of decent soft skills. Keep high your GPA, your social life in terms of getting involved in chapters as such as NSPE, such as EAG, such as I don't know, like there are many of them, or the volunteering organizations, or what was it, the Isaac and etc. Like it matters a lot too, so that they see that you are not, let's say, only focused on your education. Yeah, they are looking for people who are like who have more broader view on life, not only education. You got what I mean? So
And one more thing, do most European universities require to conduct an interview while to get like acceptance, or during that?
Depends. It depends. Well, recently, what I have heard that many universities and parallelly many companies are using the higher view, which is the video interview, but online. It's kind of like you don't meet a person, but it's an online interview of 20 minutes, and they ask you some questions, and you need to film yourself answering these questions. It's very usual these days because they don't want to use time, like waste time for that. But I have been accepted, I guess, to 3 or 4 universities without any exam or any interview. But later on, it depends. It depends. For example, for AFP, I had 2 interviews. For a university in Middle East, I think it was in Saudi Arabia, I had 3 or 4 interviews. For a university in England, I had nothing, no interview at all. And it goes same for scholarships. For scholarships, it's even less. Mostly interviews are required for the universities, and you don't need to be worried about that interview because it's just like two-way conversation with a representative of school just to know you more, like how open-minded you are, how motivated you are. There are no technical questions, like, but they can just simply ask, like depending on the faculty that you're applying, they can just simply ask, okay, which teaching units did you study? Did you study something related to well logging, for example? But no details, like they won't ask you, give me a formula of petrophysics. I don't know something. It will never happen. So it depends.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, does anyone have any other questions, guys?
Is it true? I heard from some people that when university... Можно на русском? Это слишком сложно объяснять на
конечно.
английском. Я слышала, что в некоторых университетах и сколаршипах иногда, допустим, слишком хорошие, слишком идеальные, вот зализанные всякие этим, не только мотивационные, но, допустим, слишком совсем-совсем высокие баллы плюс красный аттестат, это может быть даже минусом, а не плюсом. Возможно ли такое?
Я бы так сказал. Это именно то, что я о чем только что отвечал Ильчину. Как бы они уже ищут людей, которые как бы более открыты к жизни, и они не только фокусируются на education, но я не знаю, насколько это верно, как бы иметь такие отличные оценки, и это может сработать как-то негативно на тебе. Но если сравнить, например, кто-то с средним баллом или чуть выше среднего, и кто-то с отличными оценками, они подали документы в один университет, и, например, университет видит, что вот у этого лучшие оценки. Но после интервью они поймут, что, например, the student, у которого оценки не такие же хорошие, у него более развито мировоззрение, у него более развитые soft skills. И
социально адаптирован.
Да, именно.
Okay.
И я думаю, что в этом случае это может быть как бы правдой. Но опять-таки это что-то такое, это тонкая нить, это сложно ответить точно.
Окей, просто я слышала некоторое мнение от людей, которые учатся в моем университете, что да нет, я специально не хочу красный, то есть у меня будут хорошие оценки, но я специально не хочу красный, а то вдруг это повлияет отрицательно. Поэтому такая дилемма.
Знаю, что да, дилемма, но, как бы сказать, если есть возможность получать красный диплом, почему бы нет? Я бы не избегал этого. У меня есть красный диплом с Азии, если даже она не очень-то полезная, но, так скажем, да, если ты можешь быть в одно и то же время и socially active, и у тебя такое мировоззрение хорошее, и в одно и то же время быть отличником, почему бы и нет? Как бы ты можешь таким развитым быть. Это не факт. Это как бы, да, это дилемма, это уже зависит от какого-то специфического как бы человека самого и от характера.
Определенно. А насчет еще языка, является ли это каким-то дополнительным, скажем так, ступенькой, приближающей тебя к поступлению? Я имею в виду, допустим, ты поступаешь на английском магистратуру, но человек, который знает французский, ну, допустим, на уровне А2 или же Б1, и человек, который не знает французского или знает на уровне А1. Насколько это может тебе помочь пройти? Ты курить
Опять-таки,
одинаково?
да, опять-таки, вообще чисто не только насчет французского, это относится ко всем языкам. Если у тебя знание одного больше как бы языка, они понимают, что этот человек способен думать на одном, как бы, да, больше на одном языке другого кандидата. Это, во-первых, и что очень позитивно. И это значит, что у него более социально активная жизнь, если человек знает другой язык. Но если твой education будет на английском, и этот факультет, да, так скажем, если они принимают, например, у них есть какие-то regulations, что 70% студентов должны быть не французами, да, не как бы locals. И язык всей группы в основном английский, то, может быть, это не так уж повлияет. Но если, например, это зависит от характера, от настроения твоего координатора, что это будет влиять на твой application или нет. Но чисто если, по моему мнению, я бы сказал, знание языка не имеет разницы какого. Да? Знание языка одного плюс – это всегда плюс. Это как бы всегда тебе поднимет на одну степеньку больше, чем другой кандидат, который не знает языка.
А где можно ли как-то получить информацию о вот этих regulations, что, допустим, какой-то университет, они на этот факультет решили 70% интернациональных студентов принять? То есть это где-то выставляется или это просто внутренняя информация, о которой мне, как иностранному студенту, доступа не будет, к которой?
Если есть какой-то такой regulation, вы точно его найдете на веб-сайте. Например, вы зайдете в сайт, там есть, что 50%, минимум 50% наших студентов всего университета – это не французы, например. Это, я бы сказал, я это просто как к примеру сказал, потому что официально такие regulations мало бывает, потому что эти цифры, они тоже чисто связаны со статистикой. Как бы они определяют это число после того, как они видят, что, например, в этом году было более иностранцев, которые подали документы, чем французов. Но официально такой... вы можете просто написать имейл и спросить, если есть такое регулирование или нет, но не думаю, что это случай во многих университетах. Как бы, если вы подаете документы на англоязычный факультет, англоязычную группу, незнание французского не остановит вас от этого, но, конечно, даже во время интервью этот координатор вам может сказать, как знаешь ли ты французский, если нет, он тебе позитивно как-то может посоветовать, что было бы лучше, если бы ты знала. И, например, даже в IFP во многих универах, где иностранцев есть классы французского. Как бы, если ты не знаешь этот язык, ты можешь начинать, и они по группам вас разделяют. Кто-то лучше знает, кто-то хуже, и всем классы это бесплатно, это в твой куррикулум заходит, и как бы и это не obligation, да, ты если хочешь, можешь взять French courses тоже.
Yes. Спасибо.
Не за что, не за что. All right, guys, I think that's all about the questions, right? Yeah, закрой.
If there is no any questions, then we can finish our meeting today. Javidan, thank you very much for being with us. We are very pleased to have you today, and thank you for sharing your experience.
It was a pleasure. I'm really happy. Like, if I could be helpful, at least a little bit, guys. It was nice to have a conversation with you. You can always contact me through, I don't know, LinkedIn, Facebook, or anywhere. If you have any more questions, I will be really happy to help. I wish you all good luck. Keep fighting, keep going, and you will definitely reach your goals. And please, Elchin, later on, I would love to have when you have the meeting recorded, because some of my friends are asked for that. So I would love to have the link for the.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, then have a great weekend, guys. Thank you very much, and see you. Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.